Warning, Prospect Watch is not your average hockey podcast, and that's okay with us. Our goal is to introduce you to stars in the making from all over the world. They may not be household names yet, but we assure you they will be soon enough. Welcome to Prospect Watch.
Hello and welcome to Prospect Watch, a podcast that focuses solely on the discovery and promotion of some of the best young talent in the game today, from all reaches of the world. I'm your host, Lance Green, and of course, joining me for my co-host is Steel. Steel, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantabulous, and how are you doing, Lance, my friend?
I am doing pretty darn good. And today, we're going to continue on in our series here, where last time we did the top 5 centers that we feel that are in this year's draft.
Yep.
Today, we're going to do the top 5 wingers. Isn't that correct?
You got that right, folks. And I'm here to tell you, man, I'm excited because we got a list of young talent. Man, I'm here to tell you, the list that we had last week was really good, but ooh, this one's just as juicy. You ready to get into it?
I am. I feel I'm going to start off with an honorable mention guy. Not in the top 5, but
Okay.
I definitely like this guy.
Okay, so let's explain it to everybody here. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to give you the top 5. Lance has come up with his top 5 list of wingers, and I have come up with my top 5 list of wingers. And we will do them in reverse order. We'll do them from number 5 up to number 1. And these are our top 5 wingers that we feel will be drafted in this year's NHL 2023 NHL Entry Draft that'll be happening here this coming spring and summer, right? So these are players that we feel are going to be really high on the list, really high either in the top 10, So once we do all the positions, we'll have probably the top round of the draft completely covered with our list of all players in positions. So there you go. So Lance, why don't you kick us off with your honorable mention like you did in the last show that we did with the centers?
All right. So we're just talking wingers here, guys. And my honorable mention, still a very, very good player. In my mind, I think he may jump up even before maybe one or two of these guys that I have listed higher than him.
Okay.
I think he's very well liked right now with teams and everything like that. He looks to be a very good prospect that should take very little time to be able to turn to the pro level. And that player is Ryan Leonard. We talked about him a little bit. We talked about him last time, right?
Yep.
He is a center, but he's been playing a lot of wing. So in my mind, I think he's going to play wing at the next level. He's an 18-year-old kid who stands at 5'11" and 181 pounds right now.
I mean,
right, pretty solid kid. He still has some time to grow. He looks to me like, he's going to be that winger at the next level. Like I said, big time scorer for the United States National Development Program this year. When facing college level teams and stuff in the NCAA, he's got 39 games in with those guys, against those guys this season. He's scored 34 goals, has 30 assists and 64 points for an incredible plus 49 average. All right. That's pretty darn good.
I mean, that's why he was on my top 5 list of centers.
Right.
And he got pushed off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's kind of that go-to forward, I would say, like we were talking about previously. He can play center, he can play wing. Those guys are very well liked by teams, because he can kind of, as injuries occur during the seasons, he can kind of fill in where need be.
Exactly.
And, this guy will be able to do that at the next level for sure. And, who doesn't like a guy who's defensively responsible like that? Now, in USH, USHL games, playing against some teams in that realm. He's got 9 games in against those guys this season. He's got 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points, and is a plus 14. All right. He's got pretty good numbers. He can score, and then he can get back on defense to deny the other team from scoring. So who doesn't like that?
I mean, that's exactly why I had him on my list of top 5 wingers that we did for the last show. You know
Centers,
what I mean?
Yeah.
For the centers, right? So that's only fitting that you have him listed as the honorable mention for the wingers on this one. So that's perfect, dude. And I would even have to completely and utterly agree with you that if he doesn't go as a center, it doesn't matter. I still think he's going to go pretty early in the draft, no matter where, what position. That's irrelevant at this point for this young man, I think. Do you know what I mean? So
I think so.
All right. So Lance, why don't you kick us off, since I did us on the last one for the centers. Why don't you kick us off with your number 5 top 5 wingers for this coming NFL draft or NHL draft?
All right. So this guy that I have at number 5, a lot of guys are going to disagree with me here and have him much, much higher. All right. I feel that he is going to be really falling in this draft, okay, for some reasons that I'll get into in just a minute. But Matif Mishkov, he's 18-year-old. He's Russian. He's a lot of people have him as a top 2 or 3 player overall. He's 5'10".
Yeah,
I've seen he's only about 148 pounds, so he's very, very light. But I've seen also on some reports that he's been upwards of 172 pounds. So I don't know how the Russian leagues or the KHL and all that are really judging him. Is he completely dressed at that time? Who knows? But,
is he wearing his skates and everything? Yeah.
Right. A bucket on his head and whatnot. But, he shoots left. He plays in the KHL right now, where he's been able to score 7 goals, 6 assists for 13 points in 23 games played for Sochi, who he's been loaned to. He was moved up this season from the VHL, which is their, AHL, if you want to think about it like that, equivalent.
Yeah,
right? And he was playing at over a point per game there. I think he's going to be very talented. A lot of people think he's going to be, very successful, but everything's working against this kid. Okay, he's signed right now through 2025 season in Russia, so that. Any team that drafts this guy has got to be okay with him not coming over for quite a few years, right?
Yeah.
At least. And that's if he wants to at all. Some players are just becoming okay with being big stars in their home country. They don't have to learn a new language. They don't have to travel halfway across the world, to play. So there's that. Plus, teams are a little reluctant to draft these players with everything that is going right now in the world scheme of things, with them being at war, and especially with what happened to the Flyers prospect goalie Ivan Fedotov, who was forced into military service when they found out that he was, he signed a deal with an NHL club. They weren't too happy about that. So, it's probably going to drop on some people's boards because of this. But the kid has a lot of talent for sure. My theory is I think he's going to fall down to somebody who's okay with waiting on Russian talent and has been good with them in the past and getting them over here. And I think that would be probably St. Louis or Detroit in my mind.
I was just, man, as soon as you said that, man, the first team that popped into my head was Detroit.
Yes, they've always been, great with them. And, it's just a team in my mind that I think would be, if he's still on the board, I think they'll snatch him up.
Plus, he seems like he would be a good Iserman type guy.
I think so.
You know what I mean? That's why I instantly thought of Detroit. You know what I mean? And yeah, it might not be a bad call for St. Louis as well too, but based off everything they just lost with Ryan O'Reilly and everything else, and
Right.
all the picks that they gave up. So yeah. But I like that young skater playing in the KHL. He was probably on one of my lists. So I have two separate lists, right? He was on one of my lists. Okay. Not quite that high or quite that low, but he was on one of my lists. But my main list, he's not on my main list. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the guys that I'm thinking of, like, yeah, I'm looking at this guy going, woo. But that is exactly with what you talked about, the fact that he's still easily 2 years out. Even if you draft him this summer, he's
inked.
At least 2 years out. And if I don't even get to see him or anything like that, or he doesn't get to come to any of my camps or nothing for 2 years, I'm not going to be wasting a top round draft pick on that. I'm just not.
I'm not, especially not inside the top 10 where he's supposed to go in the top 5 on some of these mock draft boards. And if I'm a team that's struggling and needs a player sooner rather than later, I'm not going to draft him. I'm going to go.
No, yeah, I'm with it. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
What do you got for 5th spot?
Okay, so this was really tough for me to deal with here because I was going back and forth with, well, should it just be a forward or should it just be a winger or whatever. And I said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, this is who I'm going with.
All right.
I'm going with Colby Barlow. Okay. He plays with the Owen Sound Attack from the OHL. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something, right? 48 games played, 38 goals, 29 assists for 67 points. I mean, this kid is lighting it up. Okay. And he's got 25 penalty minutes. But here's what I really like about him. He never gives up on the play. Okay. Okay. He's got body position. He's 200-foot responsible. Okay. And he never gives up on a play, and he's got good hands. He's got really good hands. He's able to skate. He takes up those opportunities. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a great complementary player. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to be the guy driving the play, but he's going to be, the guy either working the gas or the brakes or something. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a really good complementary player. He's not, he's about middle of the road as far as body size. You know what I mean? He's not diminutive and he's not huge, but he's a hockey player size. So it's not like he's got to grow into anything. As far as that's concerned, you know what I'm saying? But I've really liked what I've seen from Colby Barlow, who is my number 5.
I like it. Now Colby, for me, he's 6'1", 187 pounds. So most scouts say that he is ready to go. Like, he could be a guy that's kind of sneaky, falls in somewhere outside of top 10, I think.
Oh, you think?
I think just because there's some other names that people find more enticing. But I think this guy is ready to go. He's ready to turn pro more so than some of these other guys that'll even be drafted before him. And he's got the size. He beats and bangs around the boards. He's been the captain of Owen Sound for this past season, or this current season rather. And, he's a plus player. He does kind of everything right, but I think he's a little slow on his skates for me. He kind of has that JVR kind of skating where he kind of lumbers around, but somehow he's always in that right spot.
Yes.
So I don't know, if a team's okay with that, and, I'm all right with it.
But
he's
see,
that
that's
guy.
something you can coach.
I think so. I think so. And he has all the other intangibles, like you said. It's all there. And I think he's going to be one of those sneaky guys that turns out to be an NHL player before some of the other players drafted before him, for sure.
Okay, so that's who I have at number 5. All right.
All right.
So, okay. So now, who or whom do you have at number 4, Mr. Green?
All right. My number 4 guy, I really, really like this kid. I think he's one of the better players, or will be one of the better players out of this draft. And it's Eduardo Sale. He's 17 years old. He's big, Czech winger. He's 6'1". I think he could put on a little bit more weight, and I think he has the frame too.
Yeah.
I saw he's somewhere around 170.
Yeah, because he's young.
Right now. He's young. He's 17. He's a left-hand shot. Plays in Czech's top pro league already. He's been playing there. Yep. They still, some people call it, Czech Republic still, Chechnya still. So whatever. He's been playing pro this is his second year already, and he's only 17. All right. So he has that over some players that are going to be drafted this year, right? He's already got pro time under his belt. He's already playing guys that are 30 some years old, and he's not doing too bad. It's 39 games played over there. He's got 6 goals, 5 assists for 11 points. Now that's on that big open ice. It's not 100 points in juniors because he's playing men here. He's not playing boys. So that's a big difference, right? And if you watch tape on this kid, it's really amazing. His shot's there, his skating's there. He can really do anything he wants with a puck. And at World Juniors, when he was forced to play players of his own age, he did pretty well. He had 7 games played. He had 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points, and it was a +6. All right.
In this past World Juniors?
In this past World Juniors,
okay.
Yep. So I really think this kid could turn it up and be a solid pro. And I think there's a lot of teams out there that and one of that we cover on a regular basis that could really utilize this kind of European style player, right? There's a lot of teams that get blindfolds on for North American guys, right? And then there's other teams that love that European or Russian style player. And I think there's some teams that could, use that kind of mix of both. And this guy could really introduce that European style to some teams that really need it and could bring a whole different style of play to their game.
It's funny that you mentioned that on your 5th and 4th names are Michkov and Sale, right? One of them plays for Czechia, the other plays for KHL, but
right.
both playing for, over there
right.
on that side. But man, and you're right, when you look at the tape of Sale, this kid has all the tools. But I agree, he does seem a little on the narrow side of life. You know what I mean? Like he needs to, have a few more meals or,
right.
You know what I mean? But if he puts on a little bit more muscle and a little bit more bulk, like you say, gosh, that's just going to make him faster. That's going to make him stronger on the puck. That's going to make his shot that much better. That's going to make, you know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. I like both of those players, Lance. I really do. And I really looked at both of them. And believe it or not, Michkov is number 2 on my other list, and Sale is number 3 on my other list. Right? I have them ahead of the guy that I have at number 5 on my real list, right? Okay, so how's that for you? But the Russian connection and that whole situation over there just has me nervous. Yeah, they're great players, but man, I need to be able to have at least contact with the player in the 2 years that, you know what I'm saying? And I just, but I agree with you, Sale. Both of those guys, and Sale is good player. All right, man, here we go. Number 4 for me. I picked a University of Connecticut forward name of Matthew Wood.
Ah.
Okay. Playing right now for the University of Connecticut, right? To the NCAA, 30 games played, 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points. I don't even I can't even say enough about this player. He has the anticipation, he has the vision, he has the that what do you call that hockey IQ, right? You can see the hockey IQ just oozing out of the kid. You know what I'm saying? Playing in the OHL, or I'm playing for the NCAA. I'm here to tell you, for 10 goals and 18 assists, I'm really liking Matthew Wood, even though he's listed as a forward. But, as a winger, you need to be able to, swing over and maybe play a little center. You need to be able to swing over and maybe play left wing, or you're off wing or whatever. You know what I mean? And he does kind of seem like he's that type of player. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I do really like Matt Wood. I think he's one of those guys that plays bigger than he is. He's listed at 6'3" and 190 pounds, but he looks about 6'5" out there.
Yeah.
I don't know how or whose tape is measuring this kid, but he looks a lot bigger than he is. First year at Connecticut too, and he's surprising. But my thoughts, I really caught on to him last season when he was playing with the Grizzlies of the BCHL.
Yep. Now,
he scored almost a goal a game. He played 46 games last season. He scored 45 goals. Wow. All right. He was phenomenal. He led the league in goals last year in the BCHL. All right. Yeah, by at least 5 goals. Yeah. So the kid can score. I think he's really turning it up in the NCAA now that he's getting the hang of it.
And, like he's getting his feet wet. This is his first season there. You know what I mean? And he's still young. He's still, finding his way.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like him. I think somebody's going to land a good prospect here. I think he may take another year or two at the college level.
Yeah,
to develop,
maybe.
But that's okay. I don't know where some teams are going to have him pegged to be drafted. I've seen his name bounce around a lot on people's mock drafts, and I don't personally know where I would have him just yet. I really like his style. I like his play. It's nice to see guys with a little bit of size nowadays, and he can skate pretty well for having that size. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see where he'll end up, because the ceiling on him is still going to be pretty high. I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet.
So I see a late first round for him.
I think you're barking up the right tree there. I would say 15 at least on up to the later rounds. Later picks in the round. First round.
Yeah, between 15 and lower. Like I was gonna say, like around 20, between 20 and 25 is kind of where I see him going. Do you know what I mean? Depending on who, where, what, when. But he does have. See, that's the other thing that I like about him too, is that he does have the size, so he doesn't have to grow into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Hey, all right, doesn't have to grow into it. All right, so that was my number 4. So Lance, who is your number 3?
All right, let me try to make sense of this. This is my number 3 of who I think will be drafted as far as wingers go, down the list. But this is my favorite player in the draft. And we've talked a lot about him in the past. But his name is Andrew Crystal. Now, this kid is an absolute highlight reel.
I'm disappointed, Lance. I'm disappointed. Third.
Like I said,
I'm
he's
sorry. I
my
had to
favorite
give you some
player.
snot. I'm sorry.
He's my favorite player in the draft, guys. The whole draft. Yes, that includes the big name guys at the top. I think this kid is amazing, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. But because they're sleeping on him, I think a couple other wingers are going to go before him. But in my mind, I would draft him pretty darn high up there.
Yeah.
He's 18 years old. He's 5'10", 165 pounds. He's a Canadian-born player, left-hand shot. He plays in the WHL for the Kawana Rockets. 38 games played so far this season, 30 goals, 37 assists, 67 points, which means he's scoring at a rate of 1.76 points per game right now. He's a plus 19 on the season as well, so he's pretty good defensively as well. He's projected to score about 43 goals this year, 53 assists and 96 points, and end with a plus 27. Like I said, I think he's one of the most underrated prospects in this draft. A lot of people are starting to figure out and watch some tape on him, as his play is just electrifying. He plays in a league that he's getting overshadowed by a couple other players that I'm going to mention here in a little bit. But I really dig this kid. I think if you haven't already, go watch some YouTube videos to this kid. Go, if you have the ability, go tune into some WHL games, because this kid is phenomenal. And I really hope whoever gets him is going to utilize him correctly, because he could be an amazing player in my mind. He is my absolutely player that I am excited about watching at the next level.
See, I'm chomping at the bit here, but I have to be really good, because although I agree with you 100%, I believe that name is far too low on the list.
Like I said, if I was doing a list, I guess if we laid it out as a list of my favorite, I would have him at 1. But this is where I see him going in my mind.
I know, I'm with you,
what I mean?
but
yeah.
I went with top 5 wingers who not necessarily who I think how they're going to be drafted. I just think these are the top 5 wingers as far as talent, as far as skill, as far as everything you want to slice as far as that's concerned. These are my top 5 guys, right?
Right.
The name that you just mentioned is number 1 on both of my lists.
As it should be.
As it should be.
As it should be. He's an amazing talent for sure.
So we'll get into him in just a little bit again, okay? Because I don't want to take too much thunder away from that. But for my number 3, okay, I have one Zach Benson from the Winnipeg Ice. Another look. The WHL is very well represented on both of our lists. Not just the wingers, but also the centers as well. And Zach is another one that is very well represented. 28 goals, 51 assists, 28 goals, 51 assists. Let that just sink in on 50 games played. Let that sink in a little bit there for you, okay? Now, this kid has got some serious anticipation. He knows where you're going to be before you're there. In fact, you get there and the puck is waiting for you. That's how much of a great setup guy that this player is, and that's why his assist totals are some of the highest right now in the league. Okay, as far as assists in the WHL. Okay, this guy's got a killer wrister. He just has a really it reminds me of the not quite as lethal maybe as Jeff Carter's, but he's got a good wrist shot, right? And he plays good in tight, right? He plays good close to the body. He's not afraid to get into the dirty areas, and he will take the body to make sure that he can get possession of the puck. And that's the other thing I saw about him, too, is that he's really good as far as possession of the puck, skating around the net multiple times without anybody touching him. Pick me. He's not the biggest, but he's not the smallest, but he plays a good NHL level game, and he is number 3 on my list of wingers.
All right. Well, I do like Zach Benson, and enough to say that he is my number 2 pick. So I'll just continue on in that sense that you're already going on. All right.
Okay.
You know, yeah, he's scoring at a 1.58 point per game pace right now. Another stat that I really like is he's a league leading plus 51 on the plus 51 on the season right now. All right. So he's projected to finish the season at a plus 68 and have 106 points. Okay. This guy now to his credit though, he is playing on a very good team.
Yeah.
He is playing with Connor McLennan. Nice. Yep. He is playing with Connor Geekie, who was already drafted. Connor McLennan was already drafted.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew Savoy, who's a pretty high draft pick in his own right, and Carson Lambos, who's a pretty solid defenseman. So his team right now is stacked. And as you were saying, he has the ability to really go anywhere he wants with the puck, but let's see it at the next level in my mind, because the reason why he does is because some of those other players that I just mentioned are out there on the ice while he's out on the ice, and you don't double team the person with the puck because one of those other guys are going to be wide open.
And that would be dangerous because most of their games are blowouts too. Oh my gosh, it's sick. Oh, it's sick.
Yeah, that's why they got that big plus minus. That's why he has that big plus minus, right? Because they're blowing teams out right now. And as good as some of these teams are, and with some of these players, that we've already mentioned, the ice are just absolutely solid. They got great goaltending. They got offense for days. They got defense. They got everything. So
exactly,
Zach Benson, I think, will be drafted pretty darn high. I think he has a pretty good ceiling. Although I still like Crystal better in my mind. I think he's more of a dynamic playmaker that can do it all by himself if need be, which would help out the higher the teams that are drafting a little bit higher that need a little bit more. Zach Benson's going to be a great complementary guy to somebody who already has some people under the cabinet already that are ready to come through. So
that's kind of the last 2 players that I have on my list. Well, the last 3, Zach Benson, Matthew Wood, and Colby Barlow, are exactly what you just described. They're great complementary players. Mm-hmm. They're great players to set up. They take the look off the goalie and make the pass to the streaking center or the streaking opposite wing. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of guys that you need, those type of setup type guys. I mean, I want to say almost like the Jonathan Huberdeaus, where he's an assist master. You're not looking to him for goals per se, and he's doing the spinorama no-look pass, on the tape, right? I'm not expecting these 3 guys to do that, Zach Benson, Matthew Wood, or Colby Barlow, but that's kind of where I put them at as far as being setup guys, being complementary players, being those type of players that you need on your team to get the playmakers the puck. You know what I mean? Like this is the what's Ovechkin's what's his buddy? The guy that
set him up all the time for years and years.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, what's his name? The center.
But I can't think of his name, right?
But drawing a blank.
But that's kind of what I think of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You need to have that guy, Backstrom. You need to have the Backstrom. You need to have your Backstrom to your Ovechkin, and these guys are those Backstroms to somebody else's Ovechkin.
Right.
Okay, that's kind of where I'm putting that. Now, number 2. Right, so you already revealed your number 2.
I already said, I just piggybacked off yours. I think Zach Benson's
so
my
for
number
me,
2.
my number 2 is going to be Gabe Perreault. Okay, he's another U.S. national team player, right? 44 games this year, 37 goals for 51 assists for 87 points.
Yeah,
this guy, okay. Speed, Speed, lightning fast speed. This guy has got great setup skills. He knows where others are going to be. And man, he's got good body size. Okay. He's good on the puck. He's responsible on the puck, plays a good 200-foot game. Okay. This guy has all the tools and all the intangibles. And I think he's going to be another one of those guys that's going to be ready sooner rather than later.
I can see that. I can see that. Now, Gabe, in my mind, is a guy who is jumping up draft boards right now. A lot of guys were kind of had blinders on because there's some as always the past couple of seasons, the past 10 seasons really, that U.S. national team has player after player that comes out, right? Every single draft, we're seeing more and more United States players getting drafted, and I'm so happy for that because it's been so dominated by other countries, especially Canada in years past. But now you're starting to see a huge influx of U.S. talent, and Gabe is just one of the latest ones, right? I really like this kid. I don't know where he's. I think he's going to sneak into about 12th or 13th overall is my prediction.
I see him in the top 15.
Yeah. It depends where guys land, where teams land that are going to be in need of such a player.
Yeah, he might even go. I still think he's going to be a first round draft, but he might go from 20 up. Okay.
Yeah, you never know, really. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
What guys? There's this draft is so offensively heavy. Guys are just. You can get one all the way up to 20, 25 that are going to be great players and great professionals, I think, as far as offensemen go.
Exactly. So I think so too.
This guy is just another one of them. He's playing with a slew of great guys in the United States program, and he's not too darn shabby himself, for sure. For sure.
You said it, Lance. To be playing in amongst a group of other players that are standing out even more so than you are, and for you to be standing out like that, that speaks worlds about what this guy's got. All right, brother, here we go. Lance Green's number 1 top 5 winger for this year's coming draft. Who do you got?
All right, I think it's going to be Leo Carlson.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. He is 18 years old. He has NHL size already.
Yep.
He's 6'3", 198 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Big Swedish winger here, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a left-hand shot as well. A lot of left-hand shot guys coming out this year. He's playing in the SHL right now, again this season. He's played there for the past 2. So he has pro time already, like some guys I've said before, and he's playing on that big sheet of ice again against men. 37 games played, 7 goals, 13 assists for 20 points, and in World Juniors, this past World Juniors, he's played in 7 games. He had 3 goals, 3 assists for 6 points, and he was a +4. He's a big, powerful player, guys. He is that quintessential power forward in my mind. You see 30-year-old men come up and defensemen try to push him out of the way, and he's just sitting there steady as he goes, right in the goal mouth, ready to deflect a shot or put back a rebound. They're not moving this kid, and he's 18 years old, right? The only thing is, like the Russian we mentioned before, he's signed through 24-25 season.
Yeah.
The 24-25 season. So anybody who drafts him, I think he's going to go pretty high here, but anybody who drafts him is going to have to wait a season or 2 to get him to be able to come over. And I think it's a lot easier in my mind to persuade guys to come over from the SHL rather than the KHL. But, he is still signed. He does have a contract there. So it may take a year or two, but I think it'll be worth it. He is a big body guy that could step in and, play that North American style hockey and bring that European flavor with him. So that's my number one guy.
Wow, that's awesome. He's on my other list. Okay. As the number 5 on my other list.
Wow.
And yeah, which that's really crazy. Okay. But I think the reason why is because for me, my number 1 was or is Andrew Cristall.
Yeah.
To me, he's probably my favorite player in this upcoming draft. And I really, really just it's almost like Bedard is 1 and Cristall is 1A. That's exactly how I look at it. It's almost like you get a chance to pick between Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. Well, gosh,
I mean, that's saying a lot, but
but what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter. It's a win-win. There's no lose here. No matter what happens, whoever gets Cristall or gets Bedard, whoever gets those two guys, that's win-win. Okay? Right. Cristall is young, and he's got some time, just like Bedard. Okay? And oh my gosh, man. When you first wrote about this young man, and then I started watching like his tape.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. There's plenty of it.
Oh my God. Like I was drooling. I mean, there was a big puddle of drool. Like, man, can we get this guy? Can we draft this guy? What do we have to do? Who do we have to give up? Right? Can we trade no. Anyway, that's who my number 1 is as far as wingers are concerned. Man, Lance, you spelled it out as well, but he has all the intangibles. He has all the tools. This kid's ready to go right now. You put him out there in college somewhere for a year and bring him back, because you're going to have to at least wait a year, I think, because of his age.
I think so. I think it'll do him good. I wouldn't want to see it that way. I would want to see him, selling jerseys and wooing NHL crowds if I was that GM. But I think it's best for him.
He will be. Yeah. Trust me, he will be. But unless that's the hard part, is that you get these guys that are this good that what are you gonna do now? Because this guy is so good, and I need him on my team right now.
Well, I think that's the thing. He is playing in the WHL, so if anything, he's already played parts of 3 seasons now in the WHL.
Yeah.
And he's having the season he is currently. So what else does he have to prove in my mind?
Yeah.
He's young enough where he wouldn't be able to go to the AHL because of that whole debacle that they need, I think, to change as concerning the Canadian juniors leagues. But I don't know. I wouldn't want to send him back for a 4th season, but you got to do what you got to do. We'll see. Whoever drafts him's got to see where they would have him, and if it's going to be beneficial for him to play, with them and play hopefully top 6 minutes. If not, if he's going to be on the bottom 2 lines, then he's probably better off going back to the WHL and playing another season there.
I agree with you
before he joins an NHL team. So
I agree with you on that.
Great players all around that we had on these lists. A lot of them, could be switched all around 1 through 5, and you would have just many people agreeing with that. So it's all who teams need. It's all who teams desire, and what type of players think best will fit their team. So these are just our picks, and some definitely guys on here that you need to go up and do some scouting on yourself and watch some of this game tape for sure. Because
Trust us, you do. Yeah, because these players, I'm telling you what, this draft coming up is going to be, I believe it's going to, as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be one of those once in a lifetime drafts where you always remember the year that Gretzky was drafted. You always remember the year that Mario Lemieux was drafted. You always remember the year that Sidney Crosby was drafted. You always remember the year that Connor McDavid was drafted. You're always going to remember this next year because of some of these players that are on this list.
Yeah, I think this draft is definitely, solid for sure. Yeah. It's got great depth. And even some playoff teams are going to be able to get a guy that's going to be a game changer for
my gosh,
in a season or two. So
exactly. I mean, we've only just scratched the surface, and I think there's talent all the way through the whole first round, even the second round. You start getting into the second round, and even into the third round, I still think you're seeing pretty darn good starting NHL talent almost all the way through, as far as I'm concerned with this draft. So. Mm-hmm. Lance, I'll tell you what, my friend, I think we got a great show here. We got your top 5 wingers, and I got my top 5 wingers to go along with the rest of the series that we're doing here. So the next show, what do you think? Should we do goalies? Defense. We'll save the best for last and do goalies last. All right, I'm with you. Okay. So stay tuned for the next show. We'll be doing the best defense. We'll have Lance's top 5, and we'll have Steele's top 5. And Lance, why don't you tell the folks where we can get you, where we can find you?
Sure. You can find all my great articles and all their shows at SteelFlyers.com. And you can find me on Twitter at Lance.Green39.
For sure. Go to SteelFlyers.com/links/Prospect Watch to catch all of the Prospect Watch shows where we've interviewed a number of young talent that may not be household names yet, but we assure you they soon will be. Thank you very much for checking out this episode of Prospect Watch. This was our top 5 wingers. So stay tuned for the next show. We'll be doing the top 5 defense. Thank you all for watching and checking us out. We'll see you on the next episode.